I am amazed that I've gone as long as I did without really using the skill of pumping up my car tires with a bicycle pump. Alright, I've owned bicycle pumps over the years, about one. This is probably my second big bicycle pump for $16, $17, maybe $18 with tax. I think tax is kind of high in this state. But I've always thought I needed to go to the gas station because the bicycle pump doesn't have the volume to push into the tires. So I'd let the tires get really too low and then wait, months and months. I think this last time I pumped up was a year ago. Alright, did it at a gas station. I always got excited to see free air at the gas stations. But now, I'm like, after doing some research, I was looking into this spare battery if my car battery dies, I could use a spare battery. I have this little thing. This Stanley's $40, power to go, but it's kind of weak. It seems kind of weak. It's when I'm charging my my like iPad, it drops a bar like within 10 minutes. So I don't think it's as strong as my other iPad charger, my other smartphone charger spare battery. But this would be something to use for charging up the car battery. But I was looking at something bigger that had all kinds of other little options. It had the USBs, a plug-in for my laptop, air pump, which has a feature that makes it stop pumping air into the tire when it reaches a certain PSI. Like if I put I think this and it says right in the inside panel of the car, right here, all that information gives the PSI for the tires, the max weight that you should have in the car. Apparently I should only have 800 pounds, but I could set that tire gauge to 32 and it would stop automatically, and it works off a battery. I'm like, it probably doesn't need to be too powerful to pump air into the tire off of a battery. And so that got me thinking maybe the bicycle pump's probably just as good. Seeing these little contraptions, so these $100 spare battery things. The spare battery looks tempting, but I don't think I would get it with the air pump now, because I can stop pumping when I see this meter hit 30, 32 or so. That's a pretty good meter. I don't even need this spare air pressure tire gauge thing. I'm gonna dump this, because this is how I used to do it. Was I would air it up, put this thing on, air it up, put this thing on. It's so annoying. You gotta like attach this to the valve and then take it off and then put the air on if you need more air, and it's such a back and forth. But with the tire pump, you just attach this thing and the meters are attached too. You attach the pump part and the meter at the same time. Whereas with this, it's two separate things, back and forth, back and forth. I much prefer having a meter. I was never sure. I'm so slow to learn things. I don't know what else I'm missing out on, but it's definitely working. I pumped up all my tires. The front left one was less than 20 psi. The back right one was less than 20 psi, but the two opposite ones were fine. They needed just a little bit of air, but it was visible in my left front. I could see it was looking too low, so I had to. I was getting really anxious about that. In the winter time, it gets pretty low. Let me just say, I checked my brake fluid again. That's looking good. I mean, it's starting to come down now in the colder weather, but it's looking good. But I've gone this whole lifetime not really given much consideration to pumping up car tires with a bicycle pump. Bicycle pumps have changed over the years, because when I was a kid, I don't recall ever seeing a bicycle pump with the PSI gauge on it. They started this in maybe the 90s or so, and yeah, that's when I got one. I got one in the early 2000s. I don't know what happened to that. I can't remember. But their price is reasonable. Their utility is great, because I got my bicycle on the back, and I got two of these little silly air pump things. I'm gonna dump one. I possibly could dump both, but I'll be a little nervous about that, because there might be times where I might want to. I don't even know where that other one is. Might be times where I might need to bring it with me, bring the pump with me, because I'm losing air all the time. Yeah, I've had this thing for a few years. This little wand thing. It's a little annoying to have to screw on. I don't know why. Okay. It's an old spill. That's why it's so dirty. But I think I want to dump this. It's in good shape. Try to leave it somewhere, and maybe give somebody the opportunity to take it. This is the newer one that I got, but it has no gauge to it. The attachment is not a screw-on, and it's kind of a screwy. I'm not too enthused about this new one. It'd be easier to latch on. Okay, it's got the latch. This has got the screw. The screw is a bit of a hassle. The latch is a hassle. They're both hassles in their own ways. But I want to save room in this car. I gotta dump one. I'm not sure exactly which. See, the reason I got a second one is because I couldn't air up my basketball with this. It was blowing air out the back. But I could air up the basketball with this thing. But I do like the screw-on, because it seems like it stays more firmly attached. And now that I got this bigger bicycle pump, I could air the basketball up with that when I need to. So maybe I might keep this older one and toss this newer one. It'd be nice if I could bring this newer one back to the Walmart and get like a refund or something. Get store credits. I don't have the packaging or anything, but I think they're still selling the Airstrike 350 at Walmart. But I got to get rid of one. All right, so I brought in this new bicycle pump. Now I got to get rid of stuff. Absolutely, because 800 pounds is my limit according to the car. I gotta maintain a sense of equilibrium. I've really pushed the weight limits with a lot of this stuff. There's some stuff that can be kind of questionable. I try to make evaluations as often as possible, and just determine, do I really need to hold on to certain things? I gotta be very quick. Like this thing could go. It doesn't take up a lot of weight though. Having removed all my seats, and even the backrest for this driver's seat has reduced some weight. So that took out some weight. So 800 pounds did include the seat weights, but I don't have those seats. Those seats may be 20 or 30 pounds, so I can make up for that a little bit. It's not a big difference. But yeah, being able to pump up the car tires without having to stop at a gas station. I just pumped them up in the Walmart parking lot. All four of them. So easy to do. Instead of having to go to that machine, turn it on, and then as I'm pumping up my second or third tire, it shuts off, and then I got to run around and turn it back on, and then check the gauge, make sure I don't overfill it. There's a lot of anxiety with airing up tires with the machine, and it feels a lot more relaxing just easing it to that that 30 mark right here, just kind of easing it, each pump to that 30 mark, and then I'm done. That's it. It's simple. They also attached a needle. I got a couple of needles, but for the basketball, I could use that. Ball toy inflation. I could pump up other things. I was thinking, since I don't have a backrest for this car, I could get something, maybe one of those big blow up balls that I could just partially inflate, and then when I want to sleep, I deflate it. Maybe I can work with inflation and deflation for sleeping or driving, because I'm using cushion and it's not great. And I really learned that it's pretty important to have a backrest. When you're pushing on the pedals, you're kind of pushing yourself back a little bit, depending on your weight. I'm a heavy guy, so I can push on the pedals and not really have a big problem, but I could see the problem would be there for smaller people. So yeah, I'm happy with this pump. It takes the anxiety away from dealing with low pressure tires. Now I just got to learn other tricks. The car seems to be doing okay. Like the battery would be my big concern, because the revs get a little high at times. They want to stay at 2,000 for extended periods of time, and the brakes squeak when I take my foot off of them. When I'm done hitting the brakes, pulling back, it squeaks. It's strange, but I want to watch the electricity from the battery closer, because I think maybe the battery's struggling. I need to get into the habit of testing the tires, checking the brake fluid, checking the battery strength. It's because when I was drawing from the battery, it was really going through some high revs for longer periods of time when I was turning on the heater. So I stopped doing that, and I was also drawing electricity from the car lighter to one of my cameras, and that might have been drawing too much electricity. So I just stopped all electricity draws, and it seems like the revs are settling down. I don't believe it's a vacuum leak. So it's a matter of maybe the battery being kind of weak in the colder weather and drawing from it. So I wanna get the skills to watch that. I don't really have that tool. There's a little multimeter I guess you could get. This is like maybe $5 to test that strength. I've never really gotten into the habit of learning how to use that properly.